Greetings and salutations, fellow discarded jars of teeth. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. Today we're talking about AEW Full Gear 2022. But before we get to that, there is a ticker at the bottom of your screen describing stuff. If you go to the place where that stuff happens, it would be of great benefit to me, and at a secondary extent, the boy, if you prefer him to me. Thing number one, you can go to our Patreon. We no longer have the monthly model. It is a subscription model. You can subscribe at any point during the month, and you get the whole 30-ish days of it. You subscribe at the $1 tier, and that makes you cool, like Rob, a guy from Ohio, and Passion Killer 711. If you subscribe at the $10 tier, is it $10 or is it $5?
I think it was $5.
$5.
See, half.
Is there
half price? We got it on sale.
Is there a $10 tier coming? That's strange. Why would I say something like that? Anyway, if you subscribe at the $5 tier, you get episodes of Journey of Wrestling a week early, so that's pretty fun. And, it's wrestling related, which is what we're talking about today. Speaking of subscribing, as my good friend Mr. Gelato pointed out, the actual, the algorithm and graphs and metrics show that if you make a plea to your viewers to subscribe, it actually works. See, what happens when you subscribe and like the video and comment and all that shit is that other people get to see the video. Like, the YouTube algorithm actually, picks it up and is like, oh, I guess people give a shit about this, and it, disperses it around. We don't do this for profit. The Patreon's nice and everything. It'd be great if this is all I had to do for profit, but we do it to entertain you. And if you're entertained and you'd like to entertain someone else with our bullshit, then by all means, comment, subscribe, share it around, spread the love.
The one line I will draw is do not click that fucking bell.
Don't click the fucking bell.
I hate that fucking bell so much.
If you really want to, I guess, but I'm not going to blindly tell you to click that bell. It sends you emails. No, I just go to YouTube and watch my videos. Anyway, enough.
Boomer shit.
Yeah. Oh, man. And I do not mean any negativity by this. I was asked by a writer friend the other day to be put on my mailing list, and I was like, I do not have one of those. Do people read their email?
Full Gear.
Full Gear.
AEW Full Gear.
It has been, in case you're just joining us, in case you haven't been keeping up with the podcast for the last 2 months or so.
It's been a tumultuous time at AEW.
I would like to once again issue an apology to Jon Moxley. At the end of our last AEW wrestling podcast, I was cursing his name, and he's done a lot of stand-up shit in the wake of CM Punk.
Yeah, it's strange what a difference a couple months can make on your impression of someone. Because this has never been about the character of Jon Moxley. It's been about, I believe his actual name is John Good.
It's a little bit about the character of Jon Moxley.
I mean, but it's been his behavior, the behavior of John Good, that has really turned me around on the character of Jon Moxley. Because I don't really, even if you're a really good actor, if you're someone I don't like and don't like the actions of, I'm going to have a hard time liking the characters you play. But he, in the wake of CM Punk being a brittle, bitter old bitch, really stood up, put the company on his back, and fucking carried it until as long as it was necessary. And that's, even though he wanted to go on vacation, he was supposed to have some time off, he fucking stepped up. And that takes fortitude. Actual internal fortitude.
He was also working on a handshake agreement for a little while.
Yeah,
and that's powerful.
That's a bad business decision, John, yeah. But, I mean, good for you. It worked out.
Yeah, so I just wanted to issue that again. I still have some issues with him, especially that Go Home promo.
I mean, he really shit the bed on that Go Home promo.
Absolutely.
It was a bad promo. But the couple before that were really good.
Yeah. And he's been doing a lot less pointless bleeding in his matches, which, the young me, I like the blood.
And look, there's a time and a place for color, right?
Sure.
Dude? And
Wednesday against some random guy no one's ever heard of is not the time nor the place.
Basically, and it's been trending that way, which is nice.
Yeah. Although I did mention as we were watching the show that I would love to see him blade when he has taken no head damage 1 week.
Yeah, just like full body shot, someone working a leg, and like he gets knocked, like he gets like leg DDT'd and rolls out of the ring and then comes back up bleeding from the forehead.
Just to watch Excalibur scramble to
Try
explain
and
what
sell
happened.
it, yeah.
Jesus.
God, imagine that'd be one hell of a rib. That's commitment.
Yeah, I have a giggle.
But anyway, Full Gear, spoiler-free edition. Full Gear is my favorite AEW pay-per-view of the year, minimum, probably more. This ruled. This pay-per-view fucked, man.
I had a milder reaction, but I was pleased overall. I had a good time with a couple of matches, like a really good time. Really, I echo all of your sentiments. I just had a milder reaction.
Yeah, there is only one call on this whole pay-per-view I think was the wrong call. Everything else is either, yes, fully co-signed, I love it, I agree, excellent work, great storytelling, or I could see a case for this, that's fine. It might not be the choice I would have made, but it's absolutely valid. There's only one case where that is, only one match where that is not the case, and that's astounding, because I'm a picky internet fan.
I'm willing to see it through. We'll see where they go with it. Is how I feel about that. Yeah, that's the spoiler-free version. I'm going to give you some time to get to your phone and click off of this, or like the video and mute it, or whatever. If you, for whatever reason, after all this time, came here to listen to this without spoilers, this is even a Saturday pay-per-view and a Tuesday show.
Look, to quote Eddie Kingston, buy the goddamn pay-per-view.
But I will say that I was going into this not hype. Now, I recognize an incredibly solid card with basically like one weakness, and even then it wasn't that bad. And I was looking forward to a lot of storylines wrapping up. But a lot of this shit has been going on so long with so little actual movement that it was hard for me to get like amped going into it.
Because a lot of this shit got delayed for injuries, or the critical existence failure of their main champion, or like just circumstances conspired to make a lot of these storylines go on a lot longer than they were probably originally intended to.
And it wore on me, but like not enough to not get the pay-per-view. I think if I weren't watching it with friends, I might not have bothered, but like we all had a good time and I knew we were going to. And I knew the action was going to be solid and I was not disappointed. So let's get into it. We watched the pre-show on AEW because all the wrestling is good. I was thrilled at the announcement of this because we have been saying for months now, let Danhausen wrestle.
Let Danhausen wrestle. Right? Danhausen is a good professional wrestler. He's fun as like a Santino Marella comedy character, but even Santino could wrestle.
He mostly did that snake thing toward the end, but I gather he had a lot of injuries. So we had the Factory against Chaos and a very mysterious, very evil mystery partner.
And the match itself was good. Most of the match was for 4-on-5 because the mystery partner didn't show up right away. Of course, Chaos being Orange Cassidy and best friends with Rocky Romero as a little side dish. Did a great job. They're fucking excellent, all of them, so that makes sense.
And Trent Brett is there.
The Factory, yeah, that's fair. He shines brighter when he's with his friends.
He does.
He's the
leg on a wobbly table, but he is still a leg.
The Factory did its job. QT Marshall is a fucking king in a lot of ways. Like, he just has, clearly, this performer has no ego. If this were Journey of Wrestling, that is giving veteran. That is what that trait looks like.
Anyway, at the end of the match, toward the end of the match, Danhausen comes out with very evil music in a sexy coat with scary face paint and his jar of teeth.
And then he actually wrestled, and they win.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Did a good job.
More of that. More of Danhausen as an actual legitimate athlete. That's great.
We moved on to the adjusted World Championship Eliminator Tournament semifinals. Ricky Starks got real injured or sick or something.
He was listed as a non-wrestling related he wasn't cleared to compete. It wasn't a wrestling injury, but for some reason, and we don't know because AEW is very private about their stars' health concerns, for some reason he wasn't cleared to compete, so they couldn't do the lead-up matches, so they couldn't put the final here, which is what was supposed to be here. So they did Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage with Prince Nana by pinfall, blah, blah, blah. I just read out the Wikipedia summary.
Yeah, you sure did. But that's all right. That is what happened.
Yeah, Ricky Starks won. This match was fine. I like if you've watched previous AEW pay-per-views, I don't know if we've mentioned this before. I really like Ricky Starks, and White does not so much.
He just doesn't do it for me. Like, he's fine. I can recognize he's talented. His pose is good. He's not a bad promo. It's just it's marshmallow, you know. It's inflated by air.
I look, respect. I understand why someone would not be, like, really thrilled by Ricky Starks. Notably, I really like Ricky Starks, but Ricky Starks won this match, and I didn't want him to, because Brian Cage is great.
Brian Cage and Prince Nana both. The Embassy is fantastic.
The Embassy, as a faction, needs more play.
Yeah, they need more wins.
They've got a great head mouthpiece. They've got a bunch of dudes with great looks and good wrestling, and I really fucking like Brian Cage.
So,
I mean, ultimately, this is just a match to who's gonna lose to Ethan Page. But
yeah, and that's the right call, honestly.
Yeah, Ricky Starks is a better person to lose to Ethan Page.
Yeah. We go into our final match of the pre-show, which is Jun Akiyama versus Eddie Kingston in a match that was made on Rampage. After Rampage, technically, they had a tag match. Eddie and Ortiz.
Ortiz, yeah.
I like his new look. And
Jun and Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah,
Konosuke Takeshita.
I'm glad he's all elite now.
Yeah.
Takeshita, that is, not Jun Akiyama.
That would be fucking dope. Either this was a very good work, or this was apparently like a lifelong dream match for Eddie Kingston.
I don't know anymore, and I don't care.
Yeah, look, if it was a work me. I wanna believe. Me with a picture of fucking Steve Austin's head on a UFO on my room's wall. I wanna believe.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm in a place where I can enjoy Eddie Kingston. I know I say that all the time. You could see me say it all the time if you joined the Discord, link in the description.
That's a great evolution. Our first AEW podcast where we both did not like Eddie Kingston because he's so good that we didn't know if he was playing a character because that guy would be insufferable. But his character is Eddie Kingston when he was 16, and he definitely comes across that way.
Yeah, most of the guys I knew who acted like that were 16 or never got over it. So.
And like, it's so good, and he's such a good pro wrestler.
But moments like this where he could just be genuine in the middle of the ring and emotional, and that's awesome. Like, as with some minor missteps, I feel like AEW is mostly done right by Eddie Kingston, and he's lived a lot of dreams working here, and that's awesome. He managed to go over, a lot of respect between both guys, solid striker match, nothing crazy.
I mean, very like low card New Japan match.
Yeah.
Didn't overstay its welcome, 10 minutes in and out.
And Eddie had a great promo afterward to fill time.
They clearly Eddie Kingston having a promo was not on the sheet. Like, they were not planning that. And then he just decided to hype the pay-per-view himself. Like, he Thanos'd it and did a good job.
Yeah.
By the goddamn pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was really fun. I do like watching the pre-shows for AEW. There's, as much as I'm not looking forward to sitting down and watching, 4 or 5 fucking hours of wrestling, it ends up being real good.
Yeah, I agreed. With WWE, we never watch the pre-shows because they don't fucking matter. Here, not only is the wrestling better, but the pre-shows matter. Shit happens there.
Yes. So we move into the actual show. We hopefully finally have an end to the feud between Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
I mean, it absolutely should be the end of that feud. Like, that was a big blow-off match. They did a big blow-off finish. Jungle Boy did great. Luchasaurus broke character and started talking halfway through, which is a great way to put the capstone on that.
Sure.
And have him come back with a slightly different gimmick.
When he was walking down to the ring, I remember laughing to myself because, Justin Roberts was doing his big intro and everything. And, here is this threatening, evil, hateful heel that has naturally gotten to this point, and he is still named Luchasaurus.
Yep.
And is a man in a black dinosaur mask. I love professional wrestling.
Professional wrestling is excellent because it is the dumbest thing in the universe,
Yeah.
and I love that about it. Jungle Boy goes over. Good. He definitely should have been the one to win this fucking interminable feud.
A lot of nut spots. This was a solid match. It had me clenching my butthole quite a bit.
Yeah, Jack Perry's a very brave boy.
Yeah, and Luchasaurus wrestling injured.
Yeah, kudos to you, Luchasaurus. Look, all right. So there is a school of thought that, hey, if you got to work the angle, you got to finish the match even if you're injured. Is a very old school mindset. You should probably prioritize your long-term health, but it still takes fucking balls.
Sure.
It's still commendable.
I mean, I don't think you should do that, but if you think you should, nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't, and thus your doing it makes you cooler, I guess. It's like smoking.
I just got done watching the 1990 made-for-TV special Cartoon All-Stars about the drug PSA with Alf and Michelangelo and shit, and they would all be appalled at you saying smoking makes you cool, even though in the show smoking makes you really cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Speaking of really cool, the Elite are back.
Yeah, they are. And they show up and a humongous fuck CM Punk chant starts approximately 3 seconds after the match starts. The Elite are back. They're in fine form. The Elite versus Death Triangle was a fucking best match of the night.
Absolutely.
It's not, and there are other really good matches on this card. This was best match of the night. Not close. Fucking A+. I had a great time watching this. Death Triangle won, which was not what I was expecting when the Elite came back.
No, but they're moving into a best of 7 series, and this is perhaps the only best of 7 series I've actually been excited to watch.
Yeah, look, and you know how generally hot-shotting the tag belts back and forth is considered a bad thing? No, not a bad thing. I want both teams to walk out of this best of 7 series with 3 technical reigns as the trios champions each.
For your sanity, our heat's about to kick on. It is fucking cold here, so we're all just going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, we live in Ohio.
If that's the noise you're hearing, that's the noise you're hearing. At this point, Penta's got to be one of my favorite wrestlers.
Penta is great. Ray Phoenix is great. Phoenix is... this match was good because it paid off a lot of stuff. It paid off the little vignettes the Elite have been doing.
Where they got Thanos snapped.
And then and then they got blipped back into existence. And it paid off the Pac as the shoulder devil and Penta as the other shoulder devil trying to drag poor Ray Phoenix's angelic ass down into the heel heat with them. And I'm here for it, honestly. It paid off all that shit on top of being just really good pro wrestling. At this point, I have fully acclimated to man killed by gun to kicks out at 2. So
the thing is, man, just it's so the antithesis of what I was brought up to expect. But this is something that I have stopped and thought about in my head, over the years since my youth as a wrestling fan. This is the move that guy does the best. But is it a gunshot? Is it just going to always end the match? Is that a good idea?
And for some, it is. There's something definitely to be said about having certain finishers just be very protected. Just, you don't kick out of them. That's definitely something that you can sell. But for finishers that aren't protected like that, JR even says it in the match. If a triple super kick doesn't finish the match, what are you going to do? Get a gun?
Commentary was so good tonight too. Taz deserves Commentator of the Night award. If he could, it would have only been better if he made pudding noises.
Taz is at this point many decades long veteran of commentary.
It's just that he's finally at a point where he's out of fucks and good enough to be out of fucks.
Yeah, he's hit the JR peak zone.
Yeah.
Whereas JR is still out of fucks, but he's been out of fucks for 20 years, and the quality is tailing off.
I love it when he pops Excalibur and forces Excalibur to stop doing the Excalibur dance.
Like, he will say something in the middle of Excalibur's spiel that just causes Excalibur to forget what he was saying. Great shit.
Yeah. This was a spectacular contest. If you needed a reason to buy the pay-per-view, there it is.
Yeah, this match is absolutely a reason to buy the pay-per-view. I would have paid the pay-per-view price for this match.
The next one is probably the worst match on the card. I am including the pre-show.
You know what? That's really positive of you, because I know there's a match you were less jazzed about watching.
No, it executed better, but this was never going to be good. That is to say, Nyla Rose versus Jade Cargill for definitely Nyla Rose's TBS championship.
Yep. 8 minutes did not overstay its welcome by any stretch of the imagination. I recognize that Jade Cargill is still not quite prepared to move on from the TBS champion gimmick, the undefeated gimmick, because she's still not quite to the level even of Hook, let's say. Although that's really unfair, because who is?
I don't think she's enough past the level of that lady from TNA.
Yeah, Madison Rayne?
Madison Rayne, that's it. She just, like, I love Jade. I love her attitude. And when she hits moves
Jade is
that look good.
A fire promo. Jade has a great look.
Yeah.
Jade has a great sense of dramatics. I love the fucking, cosplay entrance stuff. That's always good, always fun. She's just still working on some fundamentals sometimes.
Yeah. It's something to be worth saying, and it happened several times through this event and on AEW in general. Sometimes you miss a spot.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when wrestlers on this show missed a spot, they recovered or figured it out again or did something different.
They called an audible.
Sure. When Jade Cargill misses a spot, she misses all the way.
And then, it's just all the spaghetti is out of her pockets and on the floor, and she has to pick it all up
and we're
while sweating and apologizing. It's just not... It's not great. Jade is... She's such she's a talent with so much upside that I'm perfectly, happy to give her time. And she's clearly not quite ready to be done with this gimmick, but I am kind of ready for her to be done with it.
Yeah. I don't think Nyla Rose is a person to drop it to either way. This was a great story from Nyla. Great promos. Very funny. It's funny to see Marina Shafir being cool. That's very strange.
This is honestly the coolest and best that Marina Shafir has ever done, and all she had to do was shut the fuck up and not wrestle.
She even had a match that wasn't too bad.
Look, Alicia Fox eventually became good. There's hope for almost anybody.
Yeah, there is. But I'm looking forward to Jade dropping the title soon. Might I suggest Willow Nightingale? Moving on. We have a fatal four-way for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And this is another thing about the show, is I thought it was largely pretty predictable. Now, I already have one match that I was wrong about in the tag team, or the Trios Championships.
Whereas I was right. I made a case that you could have either team win.
Sure, and I figured it could go either way. I just saw the Elite coming back and picking up what they had dropped.
There are definitely matches I'm wrong about later on the card.
This was not one of them.
No, this was pretty much the exact match I expected him to wrestle, and good, because it was fun.
Yeah, it was quality. Good action by everybody involved. Jericho even hit a couple of moves that looked really fucking tight, which is his biggest problem these days.
Look, when he's on, Chris Jericho is one of the best in the business even today. He's just old now, so he's not always on.
And to their credit, there were a couple times I thought Danielson was going to take it.
Yeah, I was never, there were a couple times I was like, oh, they're really selling that Danielson might take it.
Right.
But, Le Champion was walking out of here with
the Ocho.
The Ocho was walking out as the Ocho. As he said, he has no intention of becoming the Nueve.
And, man, I forgot who he's fighting next week, or, this coming Wednesday, but it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly cannot fucking remember.
Is it like Tomohiro Ishii or some shit
I think
like
it was Ishii.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good contest. I don't have much to say about it.
No, I mean, of course, it was fucking excellent wrestling. Sammy Guevara, apparently the most punchable man in the universe, did a great job as doing the bit they had set up, which was him working, being Jericho's lackey until suddenly he wasn't anymore, and it's Sammy's time, and it didn't work out for him. Brian Danhausen and Claudio Castagnoli did fucking excellent work as we're definitely going to fight each other. Why are you acting like that?
I like that they did it as friends, though.
Yeah, like, why are you acting like that's a weird surprise or like a clever plan, Chris Jericho? We're in the Blackpool Combat Club. We're definitely going to fight each other. We love fighting. What?
I did like the brief backstage vignette of Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta just sort of having a scrum while Regal observed.
They were just fighting.
Yeah. It's just what they do.
Yep. But
we move on to the next big return match.
There's a promo later that I want to say. Chris Jericho, when they set up the next title match for Chris Jericho, he does an interesting thing for a heel to do, which is he's like, "Yeah, Sammy turned on me. I was definitely expecting that. Shows he's got fire. I still won." He wasn't mad. He was like, "Yeah, okay, well, you weren't quite good enough, Junior. Try it again next time." Big balls from the character of Chris Jericho.
Yeah, he's a great heel.
He can make a decision that is genuinely a bad creative decision and make me love it because he's so good at selling it.
Yeah. I'd have a hard time taking much away from Chris Jericho. We have the big return match after that. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Saraya, right?
So yeah, Saraya.
Saraya.
Like the Star Wars character with a S and then an Saraya.
So Yoda.
Close.
Okay.
Not psoriasis without the S.
Oh, okay, good. Good choice, especially given, I don't mean that as a mean thing, just like literally good choice.
Yeah.
This was the second worst match on the card.
I love Saraya. I was a huge fan of Paige back in the day. I love the look. I loved her old entrance music, of course, in WWE. I don't like the entrance music in AEW as much, but it's like her boyfriend, so whatever. I can rate it. She's getting her man some fucking cash. I respect it. But she was a little rusty.
Yeah, and I say second worst match of the night. First of all, it's better than a lot of stuff I watched in the last WWE pay-per-view.
Look, all right, is there any match on this card that isn't at least better than almost all the WWE matches we've watched in the last 5 years?
Oh, I mean, there were some good matches. Because I think that includes the end of our previous watch list. And, that had some good matches of that Rumble. There was some good stuff. So, yes, I would think that...
but, give it, 75% of the WWE matches. The bottom 3 quarters.
I can't speak to the opinions of the me I was 4 years ago, even 3 years ago, necessarily. I will say that the last few WWE pay-per-views I've watched...
Since we came back,
maybe Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose wasn't...
better than all of those.
Better than most of those matches. It's just a different style, and man,
one I like more at this point in my life.
But she was just a little slow. She gassed out really early.
But they made it a part of the story of the match.
They did, and I appreciate Britt for slowing down herself. Not that Britt is as much of a global, incredible talent that people make her out to be. She's good. She's just not, MJF, for example.
Britt Baker is a good wrestler, not a generational talent.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she worked really well with Saraya here to put on a good match. And Saraya did some good shit, faking out the I am dead injuries. That's a good tease. You get the tear jerk from the audience and stuff.
And also, she did a good job in universe faking out the I am dead injuries and using them as traps to get Britt Baker with.
Yeah.
But I like that they included shit like her cardio. She's just coming back. Maybe her cardio isn't on point when she was gassing out. I don't mind wrestlers gassing out. They're human. if you're tired, fam. It's the end. What bothers me is when the people who are commentating, when the universe of the wrestling doesn't acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And they did that here, and that really does a lot to get rid of that problem for me.
Talk about the shit you see. He didn't quite get all of that one, but maybe it will be enough. You know, that's exactly what I was talking about with the Jade Cargill thing. You just...
And a spot in the four-way match. Chris Jericho, they were clearly doing a spot where he was going to jump over Sammy to hit Claudio with Judas Effect. And he missed the spot. He fucking shoulder tackled him, didn't hit the Judas Effect. But both guys recognized that instantly. The commentary mentioned that he didn't quite land it, and then he landed a solid one and ended the match. Good shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Small things like that make people look good. Saraya won, which I've seen some people online saying it would have been perhaps more interesting if after all of that she lost. And you're not wrong, but I don't know.
Kind of wrong.
I don't know that that's necessary.
No, but you are wrong.
It's a story you could tell, but I don't know that it needs to be told.
It's a pointlessly shitty, cynical WWE story you could tell. You are wrong though. I mean, this is one that you and I act like I am willing to fight the internet about.
I mean, yeah, I'm not. You know, I don't think it was the story for now. I don't think it was the story for these two people, especially seeing that match. I don't think Britt needs it. You know, I think her winning here means more to Saraya as a character and the person behind that character than making a storyline out of it. And I don't know that these two need to continue to clash.
To be blunt, as will become obvious later, sometimes the predictable call is the right call. And subverting expectations will often lead to just a shitty, less good story. In this particular instance, Britt Baker winning would just be a fucking downer for no upside.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you could maybe go into the next show and be like, well, what's going to happen next? But I don't think that... I think she deserved to win her big return match, especially thinking that, man, maybe she won't be doing another one. Not because she's too hurt, but just because she's so gassed. She's not.
Or she might, you know, maybe she's just, now that the wheels are back on, she can spin back up.
Yeah.
She certainly doesn't need to go on like an Asuka fucking year-long winning streak, but this one she needed, guys. I don't know how to explain storytelling to you.
Don't want to dwell on that more than is necessary. Let's move on to the call we didn't agree with.
Yeah, this is the one call on the show that I just think it was the wrong call.
This is the triple threat match for the TNT Championship. Wardlow walking in as champion against Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. There was a lot of talk between the two of us as to whether Wardlow should keep the title or Powerhouse should take it. And then Samoa Joe did.
I like Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe is really cool. Samoa Joe has a title. He did not need this title. Mm-mm. I like the breakup of War Joe. I like that they had been teasing it for like 2 weeks before it happened. All that shit's real good. If they were going to take the title off Wardlow, Hobbs should have taken it off Wardlow, not Joe.
There's been speculation that Wardlow's been working a little injured for the last couple of weeks now. I don't know that that's true, given that the man's doing moonsaults and shit, but, you know, we can fight through a lot, as we saw with Luchasaurus. And as we've seen countless other times in wrestling, period. I hate to bring him up again, but CM Punk.
Or Codal Rhodes.
Yeah, sure.
He wrestled a whole Hell in a Cell match with a purple pec.
As the doctor said, you can't break it anymore, so...
It's as broke as it's gonna get!
So maybe this is so Hobbs can have someone to fight against for the title. Maybe they're unifying the TNT Championship and the Ring of Honor TV Championship.
That seems extraneous, especially since they're gonna probably be getting a Ring of Honor TV show soon. Have the TV Championship if you're gonna have a TV show. What are you doing?
I mean, if it's gonna be on TNT, maybe they can do it that way. I don't know. It's just speculation. Like, these are the reasons that it would make sense for Samoa Joe to take the title. If it's not those things or another reason I haven't thought of, don't know that I in a vacuum this is not a great call.
Like, Samoa Joe is really cool. I recognize that. I agree with that. Samoa Joe he does really fun, interesting, cool matches, and he's great to watch. But he definitely didn't need the TNT title. So unless you're planning on doing something else with it, you really would have been better served strapping this onto a talent like Hobbs, who can do cool stuff with the TNT title, and you can have Wardlow move up to the main event, which is clearly what you're grooming him for.
Yeah, I just don't get this one. I'll wait and see. Like, I'm not burnt out. This isn't WWE. More often than not, AEW's long-term storytelling pays off when Larry the dog is not involved. So, I'm happy to see what happens with this, and we'll see if it ends up being a stupid idea in the long run. Sometimes it is. Moving on to the match I was probably least looking forward to. Man, I hate Jeff Jarrett.
This is probably my least favorite match of the night. And it's because Jeff Jarrett's in it.
I'm not in the mood to rant right now. I'm not a fan of Jeff Jarrett. I don't like his gimmick. I don't like the way he executes it. I hate his needle music. I'm not high on his supply and never was. He's not for me. Seeing him show up in AEW was upsetting.
It's like your dickhead. Yeah. I'm going to try and change that joke because it goes into stuff that we don't cover on the podcast a lot. It's like your dickhead for obscure reasons uncle who you don't talk to very much showed up at Thanksgiving. Sure, yeah, I guess it's fine that he's here, but like I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, and he's also kind of an albatross. Like, I mean, let's look at the other places he showed up. How are they doing?
He's no fucking Vince Russo.
No.
But...
And he's past the age where he's going to Jeff Jarrett things. I don't expect to see this man holding the top title for a year undefeated anytime soon. I'm not going to knock on wood because that would fuck with the mic, but the spirit is there. Thank you, my friend. So I guess in that sense, this match wasn't that bad, and it was mostly about other people. Those people being Sting and Darby Allin and Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh. I am slowly becoming an unironic Satnam Singh mark.
He's one in a billion.
Yeah, he's just got a charisma that I can't explain.
He's 7'4", and you can't teach that.
He had to lift the rope to roll out of the ring.
He's a big boy.
He's so big. There was a point where Sting jumped off of a big thing he oughtn't have, and Sanjay Dutt was losing his mind on the ground and like looking very serious, and I thought, oh god, Sting had been hurt. And then my eyes were drawn slightly above, and no, Sting was fine. Sanjay was just selling what had happened, and I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys are the best. There was like a cool entrance with Darby. I like Darby Allin. Overall, I was pretty happy with how this match shook out, all things considered. It wasn't my favorite, but good for Sting. Good for him and Jeff Jarrett putting things to bed. Speaking of putting shit to bed, I'm gonna wedge this in here.
Go for it.
Because this is our first wrestling podcast since it was mentioned. Ultimo Dragon wants to finish things with Chris Jericho. I cannot tell you how much I would love to see Ultimo Dragon finish things with Chris Jericho.
Ultimo Dragon showing up in a piece of content that we get to put on this channel, I think may be the longest brick joke in history.
Yeah. I mean, he's also legitimately one of my like top 20 at least favorite wrestlers, and one of the greatest wrestlers of our history. Man, that would just be the tops. Speaking of the tops, the interim women's championship match: Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter.
This is a good ass match.
Yeah,
it was. You could argue a little overbooked, because they had Toni Storm kick out of like 9 pieces of heel interference separately. She was hit with the title belt by like 4 times. A truck ran over her, and she kicked out anyway.
JR came out with that gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I thought it made it more exciting. On paper, I'd probably be like, that's a bit much.
I liked it, but you could very much make
Sure.
the argument it was overbooked.
I
I really liked it because it really sold Tony as being, hard to put down, whilst at the same time finally fucking pulling the trigger on Jamie Hayter.
Well, and I think that's the beautiful way, and I think that's the reason it works, is because Hayter was booked as the reverse heel. Tony was just so unstoppable through all of the interference, but, Jamie was the person the crowd wanted to win. So when the face kept getting back up after the heels would beat her down or distract the ref or whatever, it created that build. You had that sense of despair of no, that you were losing the thing you wanted so much that when it came,
If they actually managed to book in a wrestling event Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader, Jamie Hayter might be a shit, but Toni Storm is clearly this unstoppable wrestling monster that nothing can put down. And all the fans are like, no, bring in another piece of interference.
I was sitting there, I don't know, I'm old, going, that's a good point. If you're going to be able to get away with it, why not have buddies to help you out?
By any means necessary, as it were.
This is a quality contest. I have a hard time ranking it, but it was one of the better matches on the card.
Very fun.
Yeah, very good. 15 whole last minutes. AEW is finally able to showcase women's wrestling a little better. I wouldn't mind if they got some tag titles. After Ring of Honor goes the other,
Yeah, they already have too many fucking title belts, bro.
Speaking of title belts, The Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory.
Everyone loves The Acclaim.
Bowens was rumored to be injured going into this one. He might have actually been. It's hard to say.
They certainly worked the match around that injury.
Yes.
In a very, they storylined it around that injury in a way that was very, compelling.
This was fine. It did what it needed to do. I wasn't blown away by it. I felt it took a little long to get there, but the action was tight.
I really liked this match. I thought it was fun. The right call was made. The Acclaimed win. Good. Swerve in Our Glory is a fine two random singles people thrown together tag team. But that is all it ever was. An actual tag team should probably be the ones with the tag team titles.
I think if they had wanted to, they could have put effort to make them the actual tag team.
But they never did.
I think they meshed better than any thrown together tag team I've seen in WWE in a long time. I think the Bar was probably the last time that worked.
But then the Bar just became a tag team.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I think you could have done that with Swerve in Our Glory.
Oh, you absolutely could have. Yeah. You could have merged them together and made them an actual cohesive unit. But that's clearly never the story they were going for.
Sure. It was a build-up to let them break up as they did tonight and watch the aftermath.
Yeah, I think a Swerve Strickland Keith Lee feud is going to be really good. I think it'll produce really good matches, and I think the Acclaim can go on to glorious fucking tag title defenses all across the nation, selling scissor foam fingers and t-shirts.
Or losing to FTR at Winter is Coming.
Or that, yeah, that's also fine. Look, I like the Acclaimed, but fucking 4-title FTR, another belt, making them tag team Ultimo Dragon? Yeah, okay, I'll rate it. Let's do it.
I do want to say I think Swerve's a great heel. He's got a very sinister air. He's fantastic with his face work.
He's Randall from Monsters, Inc., and much like Randall from Monsters, Inc., is a detestable shitbag in the best and most entertaining way.
I don't have that level of emotional attachment to Randall from Monsters, Inc., but I'm glad that you do. Main event time.
Main event time, ladies and gentlemen.
It went on 23 minutes longer than I expected it to.
But at the end of the day, the predictable outcome happened.
I've kind of been driving, man. This is your victory lap. Why don't you take it?
I fucking love MJF. MJF is my favorite wrestler in AEW. At this point, he's probably my current favorite wrestler. Of active talents, MJF rules. He's a good, reluctant, kind of smarmy, I'm not really doing this seriously face. At parts of this build, he actually managed to transition into a genuinely good face, but he is, at the end of the day, a fucking generational heel. He's so good at it. And when they started laying in the pieces for the finish of Full Gear with one of my other favorite fucking wrestlers, William Regal, to join with MJF in a wonderful marriage of just in like a fucking a beautiful hate-filled relationship, as it were. This is great. They have laid in the seeds for the finish to this match. The match itself was good. It was good. MJF was doing his MJF bit of being less smart Lanny Poffo. Jon Moxley was being Jon Moxley at his swaggering dickhead peak. Because he was kind of working heel here for most of the match because the audience was fucking booing him. Which is good. Smart. Play to your audience. And he did a really great job at it. But when they finally pulled the trigger on the finish that my little evil heart was hoping for, it was so fucking great, dude. If you haven't watched it, watch it. But MJF swore he would not use the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and he was a man of his word. He threw it away so that William Regal could toss him the brass knucks, and then he hits Jon Moxley with those.
It was good foreshadowing and storytelling. It was the well laid out mystery. When you are writing a proper mystery, you want the audience to figure it out slightly before your main character does.
Because that way they can ride along with it, but it's still fun and surprising. Again, sometimes the predictable call is the correct call. And it's predictable because human society has existed for a while now, and we kind of get what tropes are. But that doesn't mean they're bad. You know what else I could predict pretty well? Like, to go back to Star Wars, the Empire losing at the end of Return of the Jedi. That was pretty predictable. But that doesn't mean it was a bad call. I'm so happy about this. I'm so excited for full-throated, back to being a detestable shitbag MJF, along with villain William Regal, who I love.
Is that necessarily what we're getting, though? Do we have a neutral champion?
If we're not, I'm also excited for that. I said going into Full Gear that I was happy with... There was only one possible result with the main event that would not make me happy, which is for some reason Moxley retains. But face MJF, neutral MJF, heel MJF, any of those three being champion at the end of Full Gear would have been great. I'm pretty sure we're going back to heel MJF. But if we're not, if we're going back to is a full dick bag again, but sometimes gets cheers MJF, I'm also happy with that. When wrestling's good, it is just fucking pure joy. Fuck it.